today we're talking about hookers. What has this channel turned into? In today's video, we're going to be reacting to rugby positions explained in 10 minutes. I'm excited to learn about this. I do know a few things about rugby tactics. I know that there are 15 players on the pitch, but I don't know what they do. I'm assuming there will be forwards and backs, and I know that there are hookers. I just don't know what that position is. So let's get into this and learn about rugby positions.
Rugby positions in 10 minutes. Ready? Go. In rugby, the player numbers actually tell you what position each player is in. There are 15 players on a rugby pitch
That's helpful.
Point, and 8 on the bench. The starting 15 will always wear the numbers 1 to 15 and the bench 16 to 23. There are two groups of players in a rugby team, the forwards and the backs. In the starting lineup, the forwards will be numbered 1 to 8 and the back.
So you don't get to pick your favorite number in this game. All right, that actually makes it helpful though, because if you're watching the game, so for instance, when I'm watching football or soccer, for my American viewers, when I'm watching football, it's a little difficult for me to tell which position has moved into what role, because they don't have a number system like this. I think that would be super helpful to know. If you know which number a player is wearing, you know exactly what player that is, what position that player is. That's really helpful. I appreciate that.
Backs, numbered 9 to 15. The forwards are the big strong guys who are in the scrum and do stuff like this, while the backs are quick flashy guys who'll run rings around you and do stuff like this.
Gotcha.
Let's start with the forwards. Numbers 1, 2 and 3 consist of the 3 players who make up the front row of the scrum and are referred to collectively as the front row, quite imaginatively. The props are responsible for binding with the opposition team at scrum.
I appreciate that he showed the USA team in there. We absolutely are garbage at this game, but I appreciate that he showed us in the video here.
And where are the numbers 1 and 3? The number 1 is the loose head prop and the number 3 is the tight head prop. They're given these names to signify where their head goes in the scrum. The loose head's head.
All right, let's back that up again. Learn more about these props here. So these are probably the equivalent of offensive linemen in American football. I know there's not going to be any equivalent because the sports are completely different sports, but I'm trying to kind of wrap my head around a similar type role in American football.
The number 3 is the tight head prop. They're given these names to signify where their head goes in the scrum. The loose head's head goes on the outside of the scrum, and thus is loose. And the tight head's head goes on the inside of the scrum, and thus is tight. You can see here that the prop's head is outside of the scrum, that is the loose head, and the other player whose head is inside of the scrum is the tight head of the other team. And don't worry.
So the loose head prop goes on the outside of a tight head prop. Okay.
The word head will start to feel like a word again soon. The props also tend to be players lifting in lineouts due to their strength and to there generally being other taller players around them. The other player.
So if I played rugby, I'd be a prop because that's the kind of position that I played in American football. Tall, about 6'5". I'm a large man. Well, frankly, let's put it this way: I wouldn't be playing rugby at my current weight because I'd die. The constant running and constant conditioning that's necessary for this game is out of this world. There's no way I could play this game at this current juncture. But if I was playing, that would be where I'd be.
Play in the front row is the hooker. Yes, I know. Very funny. And they wear the number 2 jersey. Their job is to win the ball after it has been rolled into the scrum. They get the name hooker as they are meant to hook the ball back with their foot. They're also normally the player responsible for throwing the ball in at a line out.
How hard is it to do that, by the way? Do I have anybody in the comment section who played this position? How hard is it to get that ball behind your foot and get it hooked when the scrum is on?
They get the name hooker as they are meant to hook the ball back with their foot. They're also normally the player responsible for throwing the ball in at a line out. The second row of the scrum is made up of the locks, who are the numbers 4 and 5. Their main job is to bind behind the front row and put their head between the props and hooker's thighs. They are the main source of power in the scrum and are generally tall and powerful players, and often the main jumpers at lineouts too. They are crucial at lineout time as due to them usually being tall players, they're normally one of the lifted players at the lineout and often means they are tasked with running the lineouts by making the calls for where the ball should go. The second row and front row are in a small group called the tight 5 and are generally collectively responsible for most of the power in the scrum and mauls, and also clearing out opposition and players in the ruck. In attack, due to their lesser mobility, they are often used in a play known as crash ball, where they...
I'm a little bit... I'm trying to catch up with this. He's going a little faster than I need, but I'm recognizing players at the same time because I've done enough reactions to rugby. I haven't done a tactical reaction to rugby, but I've reacted to enough players that I knew that this is de Klerk, right? This Faf de Klerk right here. I know that. I know Springboks pretty well. Springboks. Forgive my pronunciations of these names.
Lesser mobility, they are often used in a play known as crash ball, where they run straight into the defensive line and try to make small gain in meters and suck the opposition defense in to make space out wide for the smaller, faster players. The tight 5 are very important for a rugby team. Generally, if you don't have a strong tight 5, you will be demolished by an opposition scrum and find it very hard to get any front football.
Okay, so for those of you who are, you're already screaming at me, stop pausing to talk about American football. I'm trying to put this in context that I'll understand and so I can appreciate your game better. But the tight 5, that would be kind of the equivalent of an offensive line or of the line in American football. A team that has a bad offensive line will not be a good team. It's just it's a thing that's very hard to overcome. You can't overcome having a bad line by just having fast players and athleticism. You just can't do it. So the teams that have the strong tight 5 are going to be teams that can overpower the other team's defense when it comes to pressing the ball forward in scrums. That makes a lot of sense to me. So completely understand it. Lots of respect to these 5 players, the locks, the props, and the locks.
The back row, or the loose forwards, make up the last row of the scrum and consist of 2 flankers and the number 8. Yes, I know it's a whole position called number 8, which makes sense with the starters as they wear the number 8 shirt, but if they get substituted, all that logic goes out the window and all of a sudden, you're calling a guy with the number 19 on their back the number 8. But anyway, the number 8 binds at the back of the scrum and puts his head between the 2 second rows. They are responsible for controlling the ball at the back of the scrum with their feet and will also often pick it up from the back of the scrum and bring the ball into open play. This player will generally be known for their physicality and an ability to brush off tackles and make meters after contact. The other
is this you guys let me know, what position did Jonah Lomu what position did he play? Because that looks pretty similar to some of the things that I've seen him do, although he probably had nothing to do with the forwards. He might have been a back. I don't know.
The 2 positions in the back row are the 2 flankers, which take up the numbers 6 and 7. Again here, the numbers are important as it defines what side of the scrum the flanker will attach to. In most cases, the number 6 is referred to as the blind side and will be on the side of the scrum that is closest to the touchline, while the number 7 will be referred to as the open side and will be on the side of the scrum that is furthest from the touchline. The 6 is traditionally a big tackle first, ask questions later type player, as the player traditionally can get away with more as they're normally on the opposite side of the scrum.
Does that make sense? I don't know. I just said a name that I've reacted to. Tackle first, no nonsense. Ibn Etzebeth is the name that comes to my mind. And I know, like, once again, pronunciations. Let me know. What am I wildly? I'm just saying things. That's the problem with YouTube. You can just turn a video on and just say things. Let me know. What is that? What position does Ibn play?
Scrum as the referee, and the open side is often much faster and a massive threat at turning over the ball just after the tackle. However, in modern rugby, the 6 is generally a free-for-all position and tells you a lot about what the coach wants from the team. Teams that put a lot of emphasis into a big pack, the forwards, might play another second role there, whereas a team that focuses on back play might go for someone smaller and is more akin to another open side. Their job at the scrum is to be the first forwards out to tackle the scrum-half, who we'll come to in a minute, or the number 8, who should have the ball at this point. They also play an important role in general defense, as these players are often tasked with trying to turn over the ball from the tackled opposition players. Overall, the loose forwards are more mobile and quicker than the tight 5, and can often be found out wide in attack. So that was the forwards, let's move on to the backs. The scrum half is the first of the 2 halfbacks. These positions provide the link between the forwards and the backs. The scrum half wears a number 9 and is responsible for feeding the ball at the scrum, picking the ball up at the back of scrums and rucks, and receiving the ball from the forwards forwards at lineouts. They are very important to the tactics of most teams, as a scrum half can generally dictate the pace of the game. They also have a unique kicking role known as a box kick, which is where they kick the ball from the back of the ruck. This is commonly used to exit when under pressure, as it allows to keep most of your team onside, making it easier to perform an effective chase.
Whoa. We have onside and offside here? Maybe I need to do a video on the rules of rugby. I thought I had it kind of pinned down. I didn't remember there being an onside, offside. Let's hear that again.
The game. They also have a unique kicking role known as a box kick, which is where they kick the ball from the back of the ruck. This is commonly used to exit when under pressure, as it allows to keep most of your team onside, making it easier to perform an effective chase. Due to the need to pass the ball backwards, scrum halves are often in front of play after they pass the ball out of the base of the scrum or ruck. This can often lead to them being unmarked, and if a break happens, many scrum halves find themselves in a great position to support the breaking player and end up scoring a try. They also have a defensive job at scrums and lineouts, as they are normally tasked with putting off the opposition scrum half at scrums and can be responsible for cutting off a passing or running channel. You may also see them floating around this area of the pitch. In defense, they are often given the task to cover the space behind the defensive line to stop opposition chips. The fly half, who wears the number 10 shirt, is the second of the two halfbacks and is probably the most important player on the pitch. Many teams are defined by their number 10. Teams often take the personality of their fly half. Finn Russell.
The one thing that I remember from reacting to rugby years ago was the fly half. I do remember this. There was a guy, and I'm blanking on the name. I reacted to him, a very famous fly half at the time I was reacting. Wore number 10, obviously. I'm blanking on his name. I reacted to him. He played for the All Blacks.
For example, is known for being a maverick player and playing a bit fast and loose and off-the-cuff rugby. And teams he has played for over the years, like Racing 92 and Scotland, have become known for their fast, attractive style of play with him at the helm. Whereas someone like Handré Pollard is a much more tactical and percentage-driven 10 who will play less risky rugby, with his teams like Leicester and South Africa being known for heavy forward dominance and a world-class kicking game. They will normally be the player who receives the ball from the scrum half and are generally in control of the team's attack. Due to this, they are normally the main decision maker on the pitch and will decide whether the next attacking play will go out wide through the backs or be tighter and go through the forwards in that crash ball play I mentioned earlier. Making the right call at the right time is crucial for a fly half success, so you need to have great vision and good passing and kicking skills to be able to take advantage of weaknesses within the opposition defense. Fly halves are also often the designated kicker of the team, whether that be from hand, drop kicks, or off the tee for penalties and conversions. You will likely see the fly half partaking in this role. They are perhaps the closest thing to a quarterback that exists in rugby. The next two roles are the two.
That's okay. I'm glad he put that there. I was gonna try to discern the quarterback position for myself, and my first thought was the number 8. They're at the back of the scrum, receives the ball kind of as the way that a quarterback receives a snap from the center or from the offensive line there, receives the snap and then makes a decision on where the ball goes next. So that's why I was thinking the number 8, because the number 8 will pass the ball out of the scrum. So that's interesting. So I would have perceived the number 8 as the quarterback of the team, but because rugby has so many extra positions, 15 positions on the pitch, it's not going to be an equivalent position. So maybe this is a little bit better.
Two centers who are the number 12 and 13. The number 12 is the inside center and the number 13 is the outside center. The inside center is often the player closer to the fly half and will often receive the ball from them. They are often bigger and stronger than the 10 or 13 and are used to run into contact if a forward is not available, like off the back of a scrum or maul. But it can also be common to find a player more like a fly half to act as another creator on the pitch. It can often be found on the opposite side of a scrum or ruck as another option for the scrum half to pass to. They will also sometimes play that receiver role from the scrum half after a ruck or scrum to allow the fly half to play further out wide with more space. In this role, they tend to have good kicking and handling game, and many inside centers can also play as a fly half if needed. The best 12s in the world have strong attributes that boot them in both camps. The outside center will stand outside the inside center, thus the name, and will often receive the ball from the 12. They are normally quicker and more athletic than their center counterpart, and are used to take advantage of space in the middle of the pitch. Outside centres can often play on the wing and vice versa if needed, as they share very similar physical attributes. The centres work best as a partnership, and watching rugby, you may hear the phrase centre pairing talked about a lot. Two centres who don't work well together can be disastrous for a team, as the centre channel can be a target for attacking play. If your centres aren't working together, they will be ripped to shreds in defence and be ineffective in attack. In defence, they are often the first backs to make tackles. In fact, defensive attributes are so important that some teams may opt to go against type at 13 for a more defensively solid player. Like when Chris Harris, who was said by many to be one of the best defensive centres in the world, was favoured over the more flamboyant Hugh Jones for Scotland for a few years. The wingers, who are the numbers 11 on the left wing and number 14 on the right wing, are two positions in what is called the back three. Their main role is to finish moves and score tries. Wingers are normally the fastest players in the team, but range a lot in size. Smaller wingers like Cheslin Colby and Darcy Graham are praised for their
I've reacted to Cheslin Colby. He's a fun player to watch.
Quick feet with an ability to run around players and make their way through crowded areas, while also packing a lot of power in a small package. While other wingers like Duhan van der Merwe are praised for their sheer size and power, which helps them run over players to score tries. Generally, the skill set required for either wing is the same, but often players will play on the same side as their strong hand or foot to make it easier for them to pass inside or step opponents. The fullback is a somewhat unique role in rugby, who wears the number 15 shirt and are the last of the back three. Their main job is to marshal the backfield, which basically means they're the furthest back player on the pitch in defence, and have the job of covering any deep attacking kicks from the opposition, and are often the last line of defence for any line breaks. But they are also often an important role in attack, and can often act as a second playmaker along with the number 10. It is even quite normal for 10s and 15s to be able to both play both positions, like Bowden Barrett for the All Blacks and Thomas
Bowden Barrett, that was the name I was remembering. The All Black fly half that I remember reacting to. Super fast, really fast player.
Ramos for France and Toulouse. There's generally two types of fullback: a big, tall, athletic player who's normally defensively strong, has a big boot and can make meters running the ball back into contact, or a smaller player with fast feet who will try and weave in and out of rushing defenses. It's important for a fullback to be good under the high ball and have a strong kicking game for kick returns. If you like that, you'll also enjoy
Wow. All right. What a fascinating video here. Go check out the content creator. This was by... what's his channel name? Connor Does Rugby. Go ahead and subscribe to that channel. Fantastic work here by this content creator. Very helpful for me to learn. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Let me know what I did understand correctly, what I still need to work on, other videos that I might want to check out when it comes to learning about rugby, learning about the positions, the roles, the tactics, those kinds of things. If you enjoy this video, smashing like on the video helps me more than you think, because the more likes that this video gets, the more the YouTube algorithm finds people like you who will also like this video. So go ahead and smash that for me. It's free, doesn't cost you anything, helps out the channel, helps you find more great content like this. And I'll see you guys in the next video.